It is not an overstatement to say the island of Java has become a pot where history and culture blends together, wraps in modernization. At the center of the island lays a particularly small city that has witnessed the development of many historical events, Solo. Throughout time, Solo has been a central power in the island of Java. Back in 1745, the Mataram court was transferred to the city, and since then, Solo has built on its reputation as a significant cultural hub. In this part of the central Java province resides more than 500,000 people. However, one interesting sight to see is that there are no high-rise buildings in the city. Instead, the city of Solo has settled with traditional structures influenced by the architecture of the Dutch colony. This beauty has transferred into different types of property around this historical town, including the well-known traditional market named Gede Market. As we pass by the Urip Sumoharjo street, this particular building does not appear like a market from the outside. Built in 1927, Gede Market is one masterpiece from a Dutch architect named Thomas Carson. The architecture was mainly derived from the knowledge and workmanship of Carson's home country, evident in the structure of Gede Market. With a fairly tall wall with a narrow facade and plastered walls with crossbar windows for ventilation, it is known for its Indie style. The market was built with the importance of functionality rather than a prestigious display. What's interesting is how Carsten applied a taste of Java within his work. Its basic form, such as its use of joglo and limasan roof structures, is particularly Javanese. Perhaps his marriage to a Javanese woman has inspired him to apply elements of indigenous Javanese culture. Under the direction of Pakubuwono X, the Gede Market was opened as the center of the city's trade in 1930. It then went by the name Gede Harjonegoro Market. The name itself narrates the beauty of two cultures coming together as one. At first sound, Gede Harjonegoro showed the influence of the government of Kasunanan. But looking deeper into the meaning of the name, it's given after the first head of the market at that time, a Chinese man named Go Tixuan, that received an honorable title from Pakubuwono X as Kanjeng Raden Tumenggung Harjonegoro.
Di sini Pakubuwono X sebetulnya ingin menunjukkan bahwa pasar pusat perdagangan utama di kota Solo ini merupakan bagian dari bentuk akulturasi atau satu pembauran yang sebetulnya sudah ada sejak bertahun-tahun sebelumnya. Kedatangan orang-orang Cina di Solo, kemudian bagaimana mereka tinggal di kawasan pecinan di kota Solo sebelum dibangunnya Pasar Gede itu, yaitu di kawasan Balong. Kebetulan kampungnya itu ada di belakang dari Pasar Gede, mereka sudah ada terlebih dahulu. Baru kemudian dibangun Pasar Gede. Nah, kebetulan para pedagang yang di sana di Pasar Gede ini tidak hanya dari etnis tertentu, tidak hanya dimonopoli oleh etnis Jawa, tapi juga etnis Tionghoa. Nah, sampai sekarang kita mungkin masih bisa melihat berbagai bentuk produk atau barang-barang yang dikonsumsi oleh orang Tionghoa pada hari-hari tertentu, semisal Imlek dan lain sebagainya, itu memang hanya dijual di kawasan Pasar Gede.
The location of its own also share a meaning with the existence of the market. It's a concept that's being introduced by Pakubuwono X and also the Dutch resident back at the time. They resided the Gede market at the center of the city, on the same complex as the resident office as the center of the government, and the fort as the center of military. After all, the market is the center of economic activities back at times. This is not a new concept. Pakubuwono III was the first person to introduce this arrangement for the Javanese monarchy area, the Surakarta Sultanate. In this exclusive territory, Keraton stands as the center of the administration, surrounded by the Great Mosque of Surakarta and Klewer Market.
Nah, kalau kita ambil dari peran masjid yang ada di dalam Keraton Surakarta atau Masjid Agung ya, karena ini sudah dimulai dibangun, dikonsep oleh Pakubuwono keempat. Kebetulan beliau ini adalah raja yang kedua dari Kasunanan Surakarta. Di situ memang konsepnya beliau adalah menguatkan bagaimana Islam, penyebaran Islam, khususnya Islam tradisional waktu itu di dalam istana. Oleh karena itu, beliau memandang penting sekali bahwa di situ ada masjid utama sebagai pintu masuk Islamisasi, simbol Islamisasi besar yang ada di Surakarta. Maka disitulah maka Pakubuwono IV merespon atau membuat kebijakan pembuatan Masjid Agung sebagai simbol Islamisasi dan juga sebagai menegaskan bahwa ini Kasunanan Surakarta itu adalah sebuah bentuk kerajaan Islam.
Interesting to see that this approach is not only implied in Solo, but also Yogyakarta, a compound where the leader resided, where the soldiers were on guard, but also where the people gathered in religious activities, as well as economic activities to fulfill their needs.
Kalau kita lihat ya, Keraton Jogja, Keraton Solo, Surakarta ini polanya sama. Secara mappingnya ada keraton, kemudian ada alun-alun utara, kemudian ada kalau di di Solo ada balai kota. Balai kota itu dulu kan bangunan Belanda yang dulu kalau di Jogja adalah Istana Kepresidenan Gedung Agung itu adalah kantor residen Belanda. Nah, kemudian di sebelah kanan ada benteng. Kalau di Solo Benteng Vastenburg, kalau di Jogja Verdeburg. Kemudian ke utara lagi itu ada pasar. Karena pasar menjadi pusat ekonomi kan. Nah, otomatis ada wilayah kekuasaan secara kerajaan, tetapi tetap masih dipantau oleh Belanda, di mana di seberangnya juga ada benteng, tetapi juga ada dimunculkan pasar. Dan itu polanya sama kalau kita perhatikan di Jogja dan di Solo, dan itu sama.
Some also argues that the strategic spot given to the Gede market was to make sure that economic activities in the area is under the eye of the Dutch resident. It's important because the social activity in Gede market as public space attracts as the natural habitat of the locals. The transaction activities are the key to analyze the important cultural values from the foreign's eyes. After all, in the historical view in Indonesia, a traditional market is a magnet to gather people on its own way. If we look deeper inside the Gede market, there's nothing that you cannot find here. Fresh meat chopped right in front of your eyes. Colorful spices decorates the stall with fragrant ones cannot resist. But if you like the seasoning comes in package for the sake of simplicity, all the options are just a fingertip away. Household necessities is not always revolves around the kitchen. The sellers at Gede Market understand this. The kitchen set that you need to fry the fresh ingredients, as well as broom and mop to clean up your house, all comes in its traditional form where the locals love the most. But who said that the market is only to fill the need of your household? Here at the Gede market, your tummy would feel the happiness it's been craving for. What better taste to experience at the market rather than the locals' favorite, es dawet. It's the perfect refreshment in the middle of the shopping hunt. Without a doubt, Gede Market has a unique background of its own. It comes from different family backgrounds, but stands as a role model when it comes to unity, as human contact during transaction between the seller and the buyer only bridged by the display of products. The warmness of the people is the one that really shines in between the stalls.
Memang pasar gede adalah pasar untuk kebutuhan pokok ya, kebutuhan sehari-hari, di mana siapapun bisa masuk ke situ, siapapun boleh berbelanja. Tetapi itu karena pasar itu kan adalah transaksional antara siapapun ya, antara pedagang dengan pembeli, dan setiap pedagang akan selalu merayu pembelinya untuk selalu hadir lagi pada keesokan harinya kan. Nah itu sangat kental di ini, apakah itu pembelinya etnis Jawa atau apakah itu pembelinya etnis Tionghoa, kemudian penjualnya etnis Jawa, begitu pula sebaliknya, itu menjadi sangat kuat sekali gitu. Nah kemudian yang pengalaman saya waktu ketika saya syuting di sana untuk karya film saya itu, mereka begitu tidak menggubris saya sedang syuting sama sekali. Itu juga saya membayangkan ini adalah bentuk bahwa mereka juga tidak peduli dengan siapa lu, siapa gue, dan siapa dia, biarkan saja itu. Yang penting dagangan saya laku. Kalau bagi pembeli, yang penting saya dapat harga murah. Kira-kira begitu.
But to talk about the existence of Gede Market also means to talk about the influence of the Chinese community. In fact, the Chinese immigrants were one of the reasons why Gede Market stands as it is today. They were the ones who ruled the Gede Market once it opened back in the 1745. To begin this story, let's move a few steps away from the market to Tien Temple. In a humble spot next to the market, Tien Temple, or known as Klenteng in Indonesian, stands as an important figure of cultural acculturation that easily caught one's eyes. The temple was structured as a place of worship by the Chinese immigrants. In the Chinese culture, they believed that they have to contribute more once they were lucky and able to build fortune in the new land, lived as one of the locals. That responsibility shown in building temples. It is a symbol of gratefulness to the gods who have protected them through the dangerous voyage from China and then blessed them with better living in their new home. Not only open for religious activities, the Tien Temple also welcoming people to hang around as the center of social meetings. It doesn't take much time for the temple to become the hotspot of the city.
Dahulu sebelum ada balai kota, ini sudah ada. Belum ada pasar, ini sudah ada. Yang paling penting, Klenteng ini ada di dekat sungai. Di belakang ini sungai, Kali PP. Dahulu kala, itu yang namanya Kali PP itu pusat lalu lintasnya perdagangan. Itu dari Bengawan Solo yang besar masuk ke sini, yaitu dari Jawa Timur. Itu banyak pedagang menggunakan kapal ya. Kalau dulu kan akomodasinya kalau hanya kereta kan muat barang sedikit. Kalau kapal kan bisa banyak gitu. Jadi sejarahnya sebenarnya Klenteng itu selalu bertempat di tempat yang strategis dalam arti tempat lalu lalangnya perdagangan. Walaupun dulu belum ada pasar, ini kan sudah ada. Jadi pasar itu hanya mengikuti aja. Dahulu belum ada rumah-rumah penduduk yang notabene ini sebagian besar milik orang Tionghoa ya. Ini sudah ada. Jadi kalau kita melihat sekarang kan kayaknya kenapa Klenteng kok selalu di tempat pusat perdagangan? Itu terbalik. Klenteng itu menjadi magnet ya, sehingga berkumpullah orang-orang sehingga menjadi komunitas pedagang. Gitu.
The Chinese no longer see Solo as a foreign land. It has become their homeland. The Japanese no longer see the Tionghoa, as Chinese Indonesians are locally known, as immigrants. They live together side by side as neighbor. This is a common sight to see around Solo. But there is one particular area that speaks about the unity louder than others. Whenever you talk about acculturation, the locals will speak fondly about this area. It's a village named Balong. Since the beginning of the Mataram Kingdom in Surakarta, the Tionghoa had begun to stay around the Balong village. They bred, interacted with the surrounding Javanese village, and conducted mixed marriages. For hundreds of years, the Javanese and the Tionghoa have been giving birth to multi-ethnic, multicultural, and multi-religion families. Many issues regarding the intolerance or racism that spreads around the nation never bothered the resident in Balong village. Even during the May riots, when racial violence against Chinese Indonesians broke out in Indonesia, the village served as a safe haven for many.
Sebenarnya sejarahnya kita tidak pernah, kalangan bawah ya, tidak pernah berkonflik. Bahkan kita diterima, bahkan mereka saling menjadi satu, ya. Karena banyak contoh, misalkan ya, di sini ada Kelurahan Sudiro Prajan di Klenteng ini termasuk daerah Kelurahan Sudiro Prajan. Di depan kantor kelurahan masuk itu ada namanya Kampung Balong atau Kepanjen. Di situ penduduknya campuran semua. Dan di situ campur, tidak pernah ada konflik. Misalkan orang berkelahi tidak bakal membawa kamu dari etnis ini, tidak pernah ada. Itu. Bahkan tahun 70 zamannya Orde Baru itu pernah disurvei karena di seluruh Indonesia hanya di situ ada.
This understanding not only comes from the Chinese communities, but also seen by the Japanese, a process of learning and incorporating the values, beliefs, and customs from different backgrounds blend with a fond consideration that they are one.
Setelah 98 itu betul-betul mereka menutup aktivitas atau mengurangi aktivitas karena ada di wilayah pusat kota. Ketika beraktivitas kembali, mereka kemudian menemukan satu bagaimana konsep pembauran atau rekonsiliasi itu dijalankan antara warga pribumi atau orang Jawa atau warga setempat dengan orang-orang Tionghoa yang sebetulnya mungkin di sini semacam ada penguatan identitas ya. Sebetulnya orang-orang Tionghoa yang ada di Kampung Balong kan memang dia lahir di sini, besar di sini, mati di sinilah intinya. Seperti itu. Nah, ketika ada keraguan atas identitas mereka, nah ini kemudian mendorong atau mengilhami pentingnya ada satu model bagaimana pembauran itu bisa dijalankan atau semacam rekonsiliasi konflik supaya tidak terjadi di kemudian hari.
The Balong village has developed into an acculturation area that later gave birth to several Chinese New Year traditions, including the famous Grebek Sudiro. Grebek Sudiro was first held back in 2007 as a cultural festival to celebrate the Chinese New Year. The word Grebek is a Japanese term for traditional celebration or a carnival, where Sudiro refers to the area where it held, the Sudiro Prajan district, particularly around the Gede market. Even though it's a celebration of the Chinese, but the carnival belongs to the Chinese and Japanese communities in Solo.
Kemudian tahun 2007 ada Grebek Sudiro yang muncul di mana di situ menjadi semua ekspresi apakah itu dari etnis Jawa maupun dari etnis Cina berpesta di situ. Mereka menggunakan simbol-simbol budaya, simbol-simbol apapun yang menunjukkan bahwa mereka tidak ada bedanya dengan kita. Ada barongsai, ada liong, naga yang dimainkan itu.
A mountain-shaped pile of offerings known as gunungan is constructed mainly by thousands of Chinese sweet basket cakes, known as kue keranjang. Some also filled with fruits and vegetables. When preparing for Grebek Sudiro, both the Japanese and the Chinese groups help one another in preparing for the rituals to thank God and the universe for the blessings and bounties granted to them. The gunungan will then be paraded around Gede Market, followed by Chinese and Japanese musicians and dancers in traditional costumes. The offerings symbolize the gratitude to God Almighty. Everyone who gather are encouraged to obtain the offerings as it embodies the Japanese philosophy of ora babah, ora mamah, meaning you have to earn what you eat. At the end of the parade, a large teapot-shaped lantern on the gate of Gede Market is lit and then followed by lighting up lanterns decorating the marketplace. Not to mention thousands of lanterns hanging around the area that simply beautify the city. Without a doubt, the celebration of Grebek Sudiro shows the harmonious relationship between the Chinese and Japanese communities, respecting and fulfilling each other's tradition and way of life. The festivities of Grebek Sudiro, the peace coming from Balong village, and the warmth shown by the Gede Market. It has run in the blood of the people in Solo. They do not see the differences that lays between them. They have passed that and leave it behind. If the land of diversity could learn one special lesson from Solo, is to open our arms to differences that comes from the unknown land, to humble ourselves as a human being, to learn and understand how other people live their life, to choose to walk hand in hand in growing as a community, and to see the diversity as one.
Cuma ada beberapa hal yang patut diapresiasi bahwa kemudian masyarakat Kota Solo memandang perbedaan itu bukan sebagai hal yang memisahkan, tetapi membuat mereka memiliki inisiatif untuk mengemas perbedaan ini menjadi sebuah hal yang menarik.